Hey, welcome to disCOURSES, our new weekly podcast that lets you into the mind of today's college students. I'm Cole.
And I'm Dan, and we'll be your host throughout this journey, so sit back and enjoy.
We will start with just an overview of what we're going to talk about. It will be a miscellaneous podcast. We're going to talk about sports, we're going to talk about politics, we're going to talk about class, school, whatever's on our mind of that day. It's going to be weekly. We're hopefully going to get everything out on Wednesdays. We will get this hopefully week to week.
We're sophomores, Rempo College of New Jersey, up in North Jersey, Bergen County. Both sophomores, members of Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity. Just a little bit about ourselves before we start. So the first topic, it's been popular in the news, especially in this area because it's pretty local, that a UPenn, University of Pennsylvania, Ivy League school student who was on their track team and from this area, from Bergen County, that committed suicide, and there's strong signs pointing to that she had been depressed for a while, and she took her own life just a couple days ago. Yeah, it was an unfortunate accident ending in a parking garage, which she had jumped off of. She was only 19 at the time. They believe it was mainly from stress due to school overworking her, which as college students we know what that's like, especially coming down to finals. But seeing as it was just the beginning of the semester, it must have been building for a long time yet. Fortunately, though, there are schools and teachers that are working on improving their methods of teaching to make it easier on students. For example, I know of a school locally, Stevens, which is working on a new calculus syllabus that teaches the students how to learn the subject easier, has a 98% success rate, not that high, 90% success rate, and it lowers the stress levels. People are doing much better, and it makes it easier to understand. So schools do recognize the stress and are trying to work on this. See, I think this is a good thing because all the time you hear, you talk about breast cancer, you talk about the effects of cigarettes, and while those are all good conversations, the conversation of mental illness never comes up. When people hear mental illness, they think autism, they think stuff that developmentally delays people. But depression is one of the biggest mental illnesses, and it seems to get brought up so infrequently.
Now we're going to move to a lighter note here. We're going to go into sports a bit. The Super Bowl is coming up in 2 weeks in our home state of Jersey. No matter what you hear about it being, everyone's saying they're going to New York, they are not. Meadowlands Stadium is in New Jersey. We are both New York Giants ticket holders and large fans, so we're a little disappointed in our season this year. Even though they ended 7-9. They started 0-6, which means the last 10 games they went 7-3, and that would have been a wonderful start if it wasn't the end. So Jersey is hosting the Super Bowl this year, the ugly younger sibling, as it seems in the media, to New York. So there will be a lot of parties in New York. We're hosting the Super Bowl between the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks. Wonderful playoff games this past Sunday.
Yeah. See, what I think is going to be very interesting is that I heard it's like the fourth time since 1990 that the number one offense, the Broncos, are going up against the number one defense, the Seahawks. So it'll be really awesome to see how those teams battle it out.
I saw the statistics. They said the last 6 times that the number one defense has been from the NFC, which is the case with the Seahawks this year. They have gone on to win, including our Giants back in the 70s, I believe. At the end of the game, Richard Sherman and Michael Crabtree had a bit of a bout there that has gone onto Twitter, and the internet has exploded about this one play that the players are hung up on. I think they just need to get over it. It was one good play. It did turn the tide of the game, but don't get me wrong, they're both amazing players. Michael Crabtree, I have seen make incredible catches. I can't imagine anyone plucking these balls out of the air, and I have seen Richard Sherman make plays that I've been watching since I was 5. I've been going to games since I was 6. I have never seen someone make. So they're both great players, but I think that now Sherman needs to get off this whole spiel of how he's the best cornerback. Don't get me wrong, he's good. And just focus on practicing for the Super Bowl, because if you are cocky getting into the Super Bowl, it's, as Bill Belichick said about this past game, it's a one-game season. It's win or go home. And if these guys are just cocky about it, they're going to make mistakes, and that's where it's going to end.
All right, so give me a winner and a score.
Oh, God. It's going to be close. I'm going to give it to the Broncos. I can't give you a score. I'm going to give them at least 5-7 points over the Seahawks.
I'm going to go Broncos. I do think it's Peyton Manning's turn to get that second ring. I got Broncos 28-17.
Well, the Super Bowl isn't the only sporting event coming up. We also have the X Games coming up in about a week and a half, which I'm psyched for. I always like watching the extreme sports, seeing these guys go high off half pipes. And then soon after that is the Winter Olympics, starting in February. That's going to be in Sochi, Russia, which there are actually a few disputes about going around. There's one that is terrorist threats about the Olympics.
Yeah, I know that the U.S. is warning people. They sent out a bulletin statement saying that to take extreme precaution, know the emergency numbers in your area, know security in your area. So I understand going to the Olympics, and it's a huge event, happens only once every 4 years. If you're in Russia, it's probably really awesome that your country is hosting. But I don't think I could justify going with the amount of publicity surrounding terrorism in the area. I don't want to go to a sporting event where I am fearing for my life.
Another thing about Russia right now is that they have recently put into place laws against homosexuality, which is a problem for some of the athletes from other countries who are LGBT themselves. So they are almost fearing for themselves, but the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, has defended his country and says that no one will have to fear.
So Putin says that gay athletes don't have to fear, that the country will support them. But he also, I believe, made a statement saying, in the same statement that he defended gay athletes, he also said, in a reminder, that it is against Russian law to talk about homosexuality to minors. How do they constitute? If on the stage, when they're accepting their medal, they say something regarding homosexuality,
like I would like to thank my husband or wife or something like that, and there's billions of people watching around the world.
Does that count as spreading it to minors? Do they have to know for a fact that there is at least one minor watching or in the stadium? Like, what I don't understand is that if I'm a gay athlete, I am fearful now.
Tracy and Lanny Barnes are twin sisters who are in the biathlon, which is cross country and shooting. I heard an interview with them, and they grew up hunting with their father and tried out for the cross country team at their high school and ended up getting into the biathlon. And during the qualification rounds, Lanny, one of the twin sisters, happened to fall ill, and her sister Tracy actually got in to the Olympics. And even though she had the spot in the Olympics, she gave up this spot on the Olympic team to her sister. Another international sporting event going on right now is the Australian Open. It's happening on the other side of the world, so here on the East Coast it is being broadcast from around 9 p.m. till around 4 in the morning.
The number 2 seed, I believe he is, Novak Djokovic, lost today to Wawrinka, who I've never heard of, but he's the 8th ranked at the tournament, which is fairly impressive. Serena Williams, number 1 woman, lost. Maria Sharapova, she's either 2 or 3. So, Rafael Nadal still in it, Roger Federer, Andy Murray. But Novak Djokovic, 3-time defending champion, is out, and it's a huge upset because he's just dominated Australia recently. So in some video game related news, the makers of the famous Candy Crush Saga game, it was the number 1 free app in 2013 for the entire year, top grossing app, and it's a free app, so that's all on ad revenue. The makers of it, King, have just announced that they are trademarking the word candy.
I didn't think you could trademark words that were that simple, like water, for example. You can't trademark because that's going to be everywhere you go. Candy is a general phrase.
Right. It has to do with the trademark will cover things in the App Store that are related to the game Candy Crush in any way, shape, or form.
But, going in a bit more of a depressing, going full circle to suicide, there was a Marine who was in a U.S. embassy in Athens, Greece, who shot himself during a party. I'm not entirely sure if he was under the influence or what, but the Greek doctors performed an autopsy, which was not legal since he did it in the U.S. embassy.
They sent him back home after this unauthorized autopsy without his heart and didn't tell the family.
So that begs the question, where is his heart?
Where's his heart? Why did the Greek government insist on doing this autopsy? Why would they take out his heart and not put it back?
I mean, now his family had to bury pretty much the Marine Tin Man.
It'll be interesting to see in the coming weeks, months, maybe even years. I mean, when Pat Tillman, the famous football player that joined the Army, he died, and it didn't come out until years later that it was an accidental friendly fire. So it might even be over the course of years, but to just find out why, like what the story behind it is.
We're going to end on a happier note for a lot of you Nutella fans, not Nutella directly, but Hershey has come out with a number of spreads similar to Nutella with a couple of different flavors. They have chocolate with almond, chocolate with hazelnut. It's a mix between Nutella, peanut butter, and just Hershey chocolate, I believe.
See, I am thrilled with this because I am actually like the 1% that doesn't like Nutella. I'm not a hazelnut.
I'm the 1% who's never tried it. I've never tried Nutella, so...
I'm not a big fan of hazelnut. Love chocolate, but don't like hazelnut, and that's enough for me to not like Nutella. So the fact that Hershey's will have different flavors
I was about to say.
Awesome.
I was about to say they don't have to have the hazelnut. They do have other ones. So
right.
That will be a good selling point, and they do have multiple flavors, so you will be seeing that hopefully soon already in shelves. I've seen it myself in supermarkets in recent weeks. So it's already out there, and go out there and get some yourself.
Yeah, it's it'll be interesting to see if Hershey's competes with Nutella, because, I mean, other companies, Smucker's has a hazelnut spread, but, I mean, Nutella still owns the market.
Well, I mean, I forget who it was a few years ago that tried to get a peanut butter and jelly in the same jar, and it was like a pinwheel. It looked like a pinwheel, really thinly cut pinwheel, where it'd be a little bit of peanut butter, a little bit of jelly. So if you stuck a knife or a spoon in there, you would get both. You wouldn't have to buy 2 jars. I'm not entirely sure how the mix went there, but that, I think, went the way of green squeezable ketchup and all those wonderful other inventions that I would love to see back.
Love the green squeezable ketchup.
But Hershey spreads out on the market. We are not being paid to advertise this. It is just one of these stories we're covering. And we will wrap it up there. Go get your spreadable chocolate. Watch the Super Bowl, the Olympics, the Australian Open should be closing this week. Their last few rounds will be over in the next few nights, so hopefully you're in a better location than us. It's not in the middle of the night. And we will see you in a week.
For disCOURSES, this is Dan.
And I'm Cole.
Have a nice day, guys.